We'll call the meeting to order. If there is any conflicts of interest or pecuniary interests, please disclose them at the appropriate time. We have no correspondence and no delegations tonight, so we'll move right on to 5A, which is new business, and I'll hand it over to Teresa.
Thank you. So I'll start with on page 1 with the COVID-19 update. So we did move to stage 2 back on June 19th. However, the Premier did announce on Monday, and this won't be in here, we have a forecast of what was going to possibly happen in stage 3, but the Premier did announce on Monday which counties were moving to stage 3 on this Friday at 12:01 a.m. Lambton County was not included. So we're hoping that we'll get the go-ahead next week, and but I can't be for sure on that. And that's just the brief outline of what they were considering as a possibility. But I guess the positive side of it is we already have the stage 3 information. So we're starting to, well, we're formalizing plans on how we're going to open when we get to that point. Just some of the things that we're looking at for considerations when reopening is the number of people permitted. So the number of people has moved up to 50, but social distancing still has to be in play. And that's for inside and up to 100 for outside. So for like weddings and those type of things. And the other things that we're looking at is our cleaning, signage, time between rentals. So when we get ice in, do we need to have longer than 10 minutes, like just the time that we resurface the ice between rentals, so that we don't have that many people coming and going at the same time. But then again, it'll depend on the numbers at that point. And also to the expectations of customers, rentals, and users. So this is the same information that I used for the ICE user meeting that the presentations included. And one of the things is I was on the Hockey Canada information session, OHF, and they had said about their members about how they treat the facility also, and that they don't, hockey players may tend to spit.
Yes.
And that they refrain from doing that kind of stuff. So I think it's a balance between the customers coming in and also us. Communication, so we've already started that with staff, and how we're going to roll that out to rentals and users and to the general public. So if there's screening that has to be done before they come into a facility, that type of stuff. And we will be reviewing rental rates and cancellation policies, because we're probably going to be in a period of time between right now, nothing, because all the rentals are canceled till the end of July, to you can have your rental, but you can't have the 200 that you had originally booked it for. So we're going from nothing to partial rentals. So we will be looking at that also. And each of the national sport organizations and provincial sport organizations has a or is working on a return to play policy. So we'll be taking those under consideration. And ORFA, the Ontario Recreation Facilities Association, also has recreation facility reentering and reopening guiding principles and best practices. So we're taking information from every place. I'm in a email chat group where other venues and what they're doing. So that's what our focus will be on in Parks and Rec, most likely over the next couple of weeks, on how we're going to get ready, how we're going to do it, and then when we're in it. So it's going to probably be fairly time consuming for us. Would you like me to continue on?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, unless there's any questions, then we'll watch for hands. So.
Okay, perfect. Watford Arena. So today was the day that the blue lines were moved 3 feet in and the job was completed in 1 day. So very pleased about that. And we did share that during the ICE user group meeting too, and there was no negative feedback whatsoever. So that is done. Staff have started disinfecting space. So they cleaned, painted, and now using the Karcher disinfecting equipment are now disinfecting space in the arena. So they've done dressing rooms, washrooms, high touch areas such as door handles. And
just a question, how long did that take?
It's fairly time consuming. I wouldn't say it's onerous, but you have to make sure it's cleaned very well first before you can do the spraying. I don't think it's overly, but there's a little bit of a odor from it also. So we've got to kind of figure that out, that once we do, like, when would we do it? When customers are coming in the building kind of thing. So that kind of timing. So I haven't figured that out yet.
Okay.
We haven't figured that out.
Thank you.
And then once again, myself and Amanda was also in the call, as she is the head of our EOC, and was able to provide higher level information on emergency management. We met with all the primary ICE users on July 8th via Zoom. And I think there was probably about 13 of us in total, and it was an excellent meeting. And they too are all struggling as organizations to know what they're going to do. So we've collectively agreed that when we get to stage 3, we will meet again. So it was very, very positive for, unfortunately, not having any firm information at that time. With regards to the parks, we've updated signage. So with regards to COVID-19, anything that opened for stage 2. So things about washing your hands, social distancing, and also to signs and symptoms of COVID-19. And then assumption of risk, which through a risk management seminar was highly recommended that municipalities do, that at all of the properties that are going to be open, amenities that are going to be open to the public, that they are also assuming some risk by using those. We do clean regularly, but there are some things like the splash pad would be difficult for us to be able to clean. Again, we're improving the appearance of the municipality. So there was a gate at Grogran's previously owned cars lot. So we've removed that, and the roads department also helped us by removing the pieces that hold the gate in place. There was a lot of concrete, so we've removed that, cleaned it up, and we repurposed that gate. And that gate now is at the entrance to Watford Ballpark. So vehicles can no longer go past and drive on the ball diamond or get past that point. Contractors, they just make arrangements with us so that we can open it up. And new flags had come in, so Canada and Township of Warwick, and those have been replaced throughout the township as needed. Tennis courts have been cleaned by a contractor, and we're just waiting for a quote on repairs of low spots, and also requested a quote to clean the basketball court.
John's got a question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Teresa, yeah, just wondering, it's a great idea, the tennis courts, but talking to some of the tennis players and pickleball players, especially tennis players from years past, a lot of them stopped playing because of the because the courts are east-west and not north-south. So the sun's in their eyes in the morning and the sun's in their eyes at the night. So when we put them in, or when the township put them in years ago, they were put in the opposite way they should have been put in. So how much cost would that be to change that all around? That's
So
all. It might be a big cost.
We have reviewed that, and we do have a quote.
Oh.
The challenges right now is that if we move them, the baseline is too short. And so we're waiting. So we would be trading in one problem for another problem. So we're just waiting to do the Parks and Rec master plan to see overall what we should be doing. And maybe
So-
having a shorter baseline won't be a problem, but we want to review it more closely before I think it was about $17,000. So before we spend that money, we want to be sure that that's the right thing
Yeah,
to
so
do.
you mean the room from the baseline to the fence?
Yeah,
There's not enough room there.
yes.
So how much would be left over, do you know?
I think we were short maybe like 5 feet, somewhere around there. I'd have to look it up again, so don't quote me on that, but yeah, we were short.
Because compared to what it is now, you mean 5 feet?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
because-
no, so if regulation for, this is just a number, if regulation says they must be 18 from the baseline to the fence,
Yeah.
then we would maybe only end up with 13.
Okay. Yeah, okay,
So
thank you.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
worries.
Okay.
So seeing the results from the tennis courts, and we included photos, drone photos that were taken. We're gonna look at doing the basketball court also.
Yeah, the before and after are quite-
Unbelievable,
quite
right?
impressive. Yeah,
Yes. The medical building, I met with the chair, and Parks and Rec had been cutting the grass there. And it was brought to my attention that the township actually doesn't own that property. The medical building owned where we were cutting. So the chair agreed that they would assume cutting the grass there, all in the maintenance. They already had a contract in place anyways, so they've taken that over. The new ball diamond construction's complete. So the installation of foul poles and the Big O safety covering on the fence is done. We did a second, the inspector or engineer did a second sod inspection last week, and there are 2 areas that we agreed on with the inspector that we'd like to see replaced. So that's under discussion. They're not big areas, and it's on, it's outside of the diamond. So that's in discussion right now. And Warwick Council has approved fencing the property. So the south side, we're getting the contractor to come in and put new fence. And then our plan is on the east and west sides to repurpose the fence from the ball diamond that's going to be removed, repurpose that fence and use it on the new ball, partially on the new ball diamond also. And our staff will be removing that fence either late fall or early spring before they start doing any of the site prep for the new community hall, I should say. Yes, Councilor Morris, sorry, I didn't.
Teresa, how'd you get the fire department to water it? How'd that work out?
Oh, it was fantastic, fantastic.
Good.
I emailed both fire departments, and Watford did it the night we emailed them, watered, and are doing it on a regular basis as needed. And they're using it as part of their training.
Thank you very much.
So no, it's been fantastic. And also too, we're in the process of, we just had a discussion today that we think we're okay at this point to bring a boom lift in, and we're going to be re-angling the lamps so that it doesn't go into neighboring properties, like light won't go directly. And we'll, we have to re-angle those so it won't go directly, and we'll re-angle the other ones so we have optimal coverage on the diamond. So that's coming up. And so staff and the engineer, as well as the contractor, will all be doing it one night to make sure we're all on the same page on that. What was I gonna say? Oh, and the foul poles and the Big O safety was also done at Warwick Ball Diamond, and Warwick Council approved protective netting at both Warwick Diamond and the Watford New Diamond. So the Watford New Diamond will be on the south side, about 50 feet to protect from foul balls. And Warwick will be, I guess it's on the, is it on the north side?
Yes.
yeah, north side, to keep balls off of the road. So that's the plan. And we've already been in discussion with the contractor to start with the fencing. And we're reviewing the netting, and hopefully we'll be able to move forward with that fairly quickly.
Don?
Teresa? Yeah, the netting on the new ball diamond is gonna be on the, you said the south side,
Yes,
but the south side's
Bosch property.
Pardon?
Isn't it the Bosch property?
yes,
Oh, that's why you're keeping it off
Yes.
the property. Okay,
It'll keep the balls in our
Yes.
area.
Mhm.
okay, thank you. Yep.
going on to the halls.
Tina?
So as I mentioned earlier, oh, sorry, was there a question?
Sorry, it was a last minute thought.
No, that's okay. I just saw, I wasn't sure if it was your glasses or if it was a question.
I was just wondering, before we move out of the park stuff, is there an update on the canteen? I didn't see, we had talked a bit about them getting a different kind of fryer and things like that. I was just wondering if there's any type of update there.
Yeah, I can. Is this at the point where you guys would like everyone would like a little bit of an update?
Sure.
Okay. So I was a little remiss in I oversighted not following up with the concession leaseholders on sort of the status of things. So we are still, even though it wasn't a direction at that time, we are still looking at, we've asked vendors for quote for an exhaust hood and suppression system to see what sort of cost that would be. Because the one at Centennial Hall would be still yet another year before it could be repurposed. So we're in the process of doing that. Staff had cleaned the concession prior to, I think it was back in May. So they did a full cleaning of the concession, and we did purchase the auto fryer that because the 6 fryers couldn't be used because it doesn't meet fire code. Staff power washed the outside of the auto fryer, and the concession leaseholder has asked us to also clean the inside. So we're going to finish that up this week. We had thought the plugs were a match, and they're very similar, so it would have been a minor job. However, the leaseholders had indicated that they had paid for the electrical outlets that were in there, the 220s that are in there. So we have an electrician coming this week to see if there is more room on the panel for us to add another outlet for the auto fryer specifically. And our first priority with regards to, we're still working on getting service shields like the acrylic or plexiglass. Our first priority was getting the township office done, and that's done. And so we're working with a contract on ordering pieces of that. But it'll be pretty basic in the sense that we just want to order a piece that will be, you know, about 6 inches open on the bottom, open on the top, because it'll be hot. And that we're just going to attach it on the inside of the concession, all the concessions and all of the bars. So everywhere that we have service. So we're just waiting. They just need to know the thickness that we're looking for. And what else was there happening? And I think that's pretty much it where we are right now. Primarily our focus, and it was definitely me, was on stage 2 reopening, as well as looking forward to stage 3 and also working on Canada Day. So we're hoping that this week we can get this all sorted out. And then they can do, the EOC had indicated to let the concession open and try their lunch service, which isn't for our township users because our users are not back to regular play yet. We don't have team games and we haven't had much interest in practices. And I could see if we went back to baseball games and tournaments, that at that point, we as a municipality would want the concession open. But prior to that, it would be the concession running their business to do lunches. I think it was on Thursdays and Fridays, and don't quote me on that. So for them to start with the auto fryer and see how that goes. But we're still working on long-term solutions.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I'll keep going.
Yep, continue on.
Okay. So we're planning, this week, we're finalizing plans on making the lower lobby, so the new area of the arena, as the cooling center. So you will be able to go in the sliding doors from the west, or the single door from the east, and have access to a bathroom and use it to cool off. Although I understand there hasn't been maybe a huge demand in the past for people specifically coming to use it as a cooling center, people that are utilizing the parks, like say they've gone for a run, might want to come in and cool off. So I'm hoping to get that all in place and review with public health and Amanda this week.
Wayne?
I think you might have a bigger use if we ever have a major power outage, where people's air conditioners and that aren't working, especially with the elderly. That's when we need to, I guess, make sure the public knows that it's open. And is there a way that if the power outage happened on Saturday and didn't last for 24 hours, we can get it on the weekend? Stuff like this, emergency plans.
Yeah, so that's a good question. And that was actually brought up in our EOC. So a cooling center is a place for people to go during the hot, like between 10 and 3, right? To find relief from that heat. What you're talking about would be opening an emergency reception center. So if there was an extended power outage, that would be something we would enact, the reception center, where we would move it upstairs, and it would be most likely our emergency operations committee group that would give me a call to say, hey, we need to open up.
Okay.
And so we would open it up under emergency services as opposed to cooling center.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep, no worries. So we've received some purchasing items, table replacements and carts for Watford Arena, and the brand and color, we picked pretty basic gray, smooth top, so nothing that has any texture to it, so it's easier to clean. And we're looking at keeping the brand and the color consistent for all the buildings as things start to get replaced or purchased for the new building. It's just easier than when you go to need to replace. And staff are working on inventory right now. So inventory, maintenance, and cleaning of all tables and chairs and the sundry items. So all our plates, dishes, sports equipment, and we'll also be doing a tool blitz this month. So between the indoor stuff that they're doing on really, really hot days like this stuff and the outdoor stuff, they're very, very busy, which is, and it's been tough. It's been very, very hot for Parks and Rec staff outside. So the new Watford Community Hall, we're continuing to work with the architect engineers on plans, including the YMCA. So we have their initial draft and building grants also. So the Enabling Accessibility Fund application was submitted last week. It was due on Monday, so that's been done. So potentially there could be $100,000 in funding if we were successful for all the accessibility that is in the new hall, but also the renovations and retrofits that are being done to the arena. The Parks and Rec Tourism and Culture Master Plan. So a little bit delayed on that. We had a meeting with regards to the development charges review, and there's a piece that needs to be put in or a separate plan specifically on parks. So I'm working to revise that to get that information and get it into one document. So our understanding is that will suffice as long as we meet those specific guidelines. So instead of having 2 plans and having to go out twice to tender, we're going to try to do it in one. So it's held us up a little bit. Staffing, we're still delayed on onboarding our summer students. Again, just because we're the level we're at in operations, we don't need them yet. But we'll see what the announcement comes out at stage 3 and what we're able to do. And we might possibly have them in for a month, but it really depends on our operations. Programs and events. So I'm hoping everyone got their Canada Day flyer in the in the Canada Post mail drop. Did everyone get one that lives in the?
Yep.
Good. So very different Canada Day, not only for you guys, but also for me. It's a very different thing to not be in person doing all of this. But we did, and very thankful to Tourism Sarnia-Lambton for not only organizing, but sponsoring the virtual Canada Day celebration. And we did the flyer to promote it. We also included a message from our counselors, and thank you to the 2 counselors that are here today. I thought it was great. It was very cool. And we did a social media campaign also to promote, and local talent, Kyla Higgins, performed O Canada, and they created an outstanding video that went along with her singing, and that was also posted on her social media and did get quite a few hits, I should say. And we also were trying to think of different ways to make the community at least feel some sort of inclusion. And so the township purchased the hand flags, the Canadian hand flags, and they were distributed through Watford Foodland and also Warwick Gas and Variety. And I know Watford Foodland still has them out. They did a lovely display of them. And so for our flyer, I just want to get this here, our hand flags, flyer, printing, flyer mailing, and an honorarium for the O Canada performance and video, our total Canada Day costs were $1,689.64. And as I understand, it's usually around $2,500. So we didn't spend it all. And I also should have noted that Warwick Conservation Authority did not do their fireworks, and we did offer, like, if they could do it at a later time, and they have declined based on the fact that for them to do it, they would need to do it at all 3 areas, conservation area, and they're just not confident they would be able to do that. So that was another, I believe, Trevor can correct me if I'm wrong, $2,500 that the township sponsors in fireworks. And unfortunately, we have another canceled event due to COVID-19. So Corn Fest and the East Lambton Minor Hockey Association dance that's held on the same weekend has been canceled. And I know that the committee is possibly looking at other things maybe later in the year, maybe something different depending on what we're allowed to do. So we'll have to see what they come up with. So unfortunately, and I guess we're in the same boat as everybody else where all the major events have been canceled. So that is pretty much our summer. The next thing on the summer list is, I believe it's the 3rd weekend in August, or 3rd or 4th, is going to be Decoration Day at Watford Cemetery. So
We
that's,
haven't finalized that yet.
sorry?
I don't think that's been finalized, has it, whether we're having it or not yet?
No.
No, that's, yeah, that'll be the next thing on the list to see whether or not. And
I have one question. With
sure,
stage 3, we're hoping a week behind. The Rotary have their fish fry, their big fish fry in September. Would it be all right with you if I asked their chairman to touch base with you to be what would be allowed and what isn't? There's so many questions out there.
oh, absolutely. I do have the list of traditional events, and generally speaking, I touch base with the EOC when we have our meetings and get direction on, okay, what, I should be approaching them at this point. And it's usually like yeah, probably like at least 6 weeks out, 4 to 6 weeks, when I start touching base to see how, what their thoughts are on going ahead with the event, doing something different, like a modified event, doing something later in the year. So yeah, most definitely.
Okay, I'll mention this. Thank you.
And
Yep, go ahead.
sorry, did you have a question?
No,
That's right. So, and I don't know, sorry, where in the meeting we give a report or an update on the actions resulting from the last meeting?
we can do that now. Which is the follow-up items. I guess that was
Yes.
number 3, attachment B.
Sorry, I don't have, I printed it off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's there's an actions resulting from Park and Rec Committee of June 10th.
Does everyone have that chart?
It's a chart. It's the third item in the attachments underneath this update.
Okay, perfect.
Click on it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, perfect. So the first action was to make public announcement regarding continued closure of the BMX track for the season. We did do that as part of the stage 2 reopening, and that stage 2 reopening plan is also included in the attachments. Complete communication in future for the water savings from the splash pad. Our thoughts are to include something when we do a Parks and Rec newsletter to highlight that. The hours of operation for the Watford Library, Amanda had forwarded all that information to Maddie. So that's been looked after. John and I got together and now it's done. The magic has happened, John. Oh, you're on mute, John.
Oh, hit your space bar. Or
Oh, there we go.
there you go.
Amanda muted me. Amanda,
We could hear some background noise. That's why.
okay. Yeah, that's great. I'm looking forward to going to the rink and seeing it. Hopefully being on the ice in a couple months. So that's good.
Sounds good. Hopefully, I hope you can be on the ice in a couple months too.
Yeah.
The next 2 items were Heather and I believe, Amanda, can you speak to those as to their status? The notice of change date for the August Parks and Rec meeting?
I'm not sure that these I don't know that they have been done yet. The notice typically we wouldn't do until closer to the date. So you could expect to see that probably at the beginning of August. And I will have to double check our calendars to ensure that we have actually moved that placeholder. But I will follow up, carry that forward, Teresa, to follow up on for myself.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. The next item is with Martina, although your name's not on here, I don't think, but yes, when we can have a more public celebration, we'll definitely be looking at doing something. To review the timer setting for tennis courts, that was, I met with Parks and Rec lead hand the next day, and that was done that day. And consideration of moving bleachers. Staff have already moved 1 set of bleachers, and when we're dismantling the ballpark late fall, early spring, we'll look at moving the rest of the bleachers to the new ballpark or new ball diamond.
Yeah.
Great. Excellent. John.
Yeah, I've heard from a few guys around the town that they're still thinking about ball league starting up maybe in August. Have you heard any more about that, Teresa? And what their
No.
plans?
No, I'm hoping, I'm like, while we're reviewing stage 3, I'm going to reach out to the head of the organizations, like the leagues, and see if there's a possibility.
Yeah, they won't be using the back diamond anyway, the new diamond.
No, we're gonna let that one settle and use it next year.
Good idea. Okay, thanks.
Seeing no further questions, is there anything else that we need to cover there, or can we move to other 6? Is there any other? Amanda?
Chair White, if we were to move on from this report, I would ask for a receive and file motion from the committee.
Could we get that from Mr. Council Morris and Martina? Thank you. And all in favor? John? Are you
Yes.
opposed? Yeah, okay, good.
No.
We're all good. Yep, we have a receive and file. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else other to discuss? No?
No.
Can I get a, oh, Trevor. What's up?
Sorry. Just arena being shut, the last thing to do in terms of capital for the arena, I believe this year, is the overhead heaters. Have we reached out yet?
You're cutting out, Trevor.
Okay, is this better if I lean forward?
Yes,
Okay. The last thing to do on the capital budget for the arena this year is the overhead heaters in the arena. Have we reached out to anyone on that yet?
Yes, but I don't have the quotes and stuff done at this point.
Okay,
So I'm hoping we can get it done during the summer. Or at least the warmer weather.
that would be good. Okay, Wayne? Yep.
I think, Teresa, I hope you'll see a lot of increase in wanting to use the Warwick Hall and Centennial Hall. There's been a pile of memorials on hold. So I can see an influx of a whole bunch trying to get the same, thing going here.
Mhm.
It might just be, I don't know. We'd have to know what our capacity of our building is, I guess. But we're only allowed 50, I think, inside,
Yes.
or we're predicting that, I guess.
No, it is a fact.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought at first they might have used a percentage.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that's what I
And
thought.
so I was working on with Spree to update to ensure I had accurate capacities for all of our spaces. And that's what I was hoping for. But it did clearly say 50 and still physical distancing.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I'm trying to picture a wedding reception inside for 50 people, but everybody still has to sit 2 meters apart.
It's not gonna.
If they're not from the same household, right? So, but yeah, definitely, this is part of Amanda's Eye's responsibility. We're working on the reopening plan
Okay, thank you.
for Parks and Rec. So to be very honest, it's going to be very consuming, I suspect. And it won't be without hiccups.
Oh,
So weddings are a little bit different. You'll find a different line for them in the guidance documents. So weddings, for example, are 30% capacity of the venue versus the 50 people.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And that's where, and there was another one line, it was like 100 for outdoors.
mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there again, I need to
So
check it
stage 3
closer.
is 50 people indoors, 100 people outdoors,
Outdoors.
as long as they can physically distance.
Yeah.
But then there's a separate line for religious ceremonies, weddings, etc., that are
So,
30%.
Yeah, and I think, and I have to, I won't look at it right now, and I have to double check it, Martina, because these were some of the gray areas that we've talked about before. So when it says wedding, is that the ceremony only, or is it the reception? And so when we reviewed this before with EOC, or was it somebody's daughter was going to it? Anyways, it was for a ceremony only in stage 2.
In
So
stage 2
there's-
was definitely only a ceremony. There was no,
Yeah.
you couldn't have a reception unless those people were your 10.
Yes.
Because
So
that's
we
when
just need to
people
clarify those.
get too close. Is that the reception?
Yeah, yeah,
But there's lots of gray area. No kidding.
yes. A lot of gray area.
Okay, great. Is there anything else that we should discuss tonight? No, I see Wayne wants to get his swim trunks on, go in the pool. So he's first to move adjournment. Is anyone else second that? Martina, all right, all in favor? Excellent. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for great
Thank
meeting.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Thanks, everybody.
So.
Thanks.
We're still live?
Uh-huh.